if you don't wanna see me.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I don't really go to Goodwill as often as I used to because I know that they started auctioning off all the better products that they get in on their online website. I know it all goes to charity, but I just feel like I never find anything good there anymore. But I happened to be in Madison the other day, and I decided to make a quick stop by the Goodwill that they have there because it's a lot bigger than the other Goodwills in my area, and from the looks of it, it seemed like somebody had donated their entire 90s Barbie collection. I very rarely find dolls at Goodwill anymore, let alone mint in box, so I was very excited to find out that they had dolls there for once. Now, I was born in 1996, so I saw the transition from the 90s superstar era Barbie to the early 2000s generational girl era. I didn't come from the wealthiest family, so as a child, most of my Barbies were hand-me-downs from either the late 80s or early 90s, or clones that my mom bought at the dollar store. I've always been a very observative person, even as a child, so I distinctively remember whenever Mattel switched out Barbie's official face sculpt from the Superstar sculpt to the CEO/Generation Girl sculpt in the early 2000s. And I know that a lot of adult collectors, including myself, see the Superstar face sculpt as a definitive Barbie head sculpt, even if it's just due to nostalgia. And I've been seeing more and more adult collectors hating on the current Barbie head sculpt that they use for the character, dubbed the Millie head sculpt, and I've been kind of guilty of this too, but I've been giving it a lot of thought recently, and honestly, I don't really think it's the fault of the sculpt. I really think it's just how Mattel has changed the painting style over time. So I thought it would be a fun idea to turn this video into a brief history of how Barbie's face has changed over the decades. Starting with the oldest doll in my collection. Yeah, this girl has definitely seen better days. Now, I am not a vintage doll collector by any means, so if I get anything wrong, please feel free to correct me in the comments. This is what Barbie's face sculpt looked like in the 1960s whenever she was first pioneered to the US by Ruth Handler. This face sculpt is based off of the Build Lily doll that Barbie was inspired by. The copyright information on this doll actually states that she is a midge. So this is a midge Barbie, but Barbie also used this head mold. I believe that this is a genuine American Girl Barbie. I found her on a Goodwill Outlets trip. In other words, I found her at the dump, so that's why she's in such rough condition. If any of the dolls in my collection are haunted, it's definitely this one. I think that they were going for a more shy expression with her, but I remember looking at pictures of this doll online as a kid and thinking that she looked really stuck up, like she was looking to the side, like she saw something more interesting, like she had something better to do or somewhere else to be. Like she's not focusing on playing with you, she's focusing on whatever else is catching her attention over there. You can definitely see how defined the sculpting is on her, especially around her eyelids. This sort of restricts some creativity whenever it comes to painting her eyes because this sculpt is always going to have a half-closed eyelid. There's also a lot of definition around the nostrils, and her nose ridge is really deep. This is the only other Barbie that I have with the 1960s sculpt, and this is a reproduction from I think either the 90s or early 2000s, even though the back of her head is still copyrighted 1958. You can tell just by looking at these two how much difference the paint can make to a sculpt. We're kind of spoiled nowadays whenever it comes to the articulation on our dolls because these older Barbies, like they only have rotation up and down on the arms and the legs. The bend and snap knee wasn't even invented yet, and their head only moves left to right. I assume that there were a lot of problems with kids being able to easily pop off their Barbies' heads, so that's probably why the neck pegs have evolved to what they are today. If any of my mutual friends want this doll to try to restore her, please let me know because I'm not gonna do it. I got her like 3 years ago and she's been sitting in my basement. Here I have a Malibu Barbie from the 1960s/1970s. This is when they had Barbie start looking forward. She already looks a lot more kind now that she's smiling, but the blue eyeshadow on these dolls really dates them. I don't think that this is her original body because she has the bend and snap knees and also the twist and turn waist, which I don't think was invented yet. But this is another one of Barbie's face sculpts. I also have this version of her. I'm not really sure what the difference is. I think that this might be closer to what her original body looked like because I don't believe that the Malibu Barbie came with the twist and turn waist, and also her legs don't bend. This one's definitely seen a lot of play. I think I like her face paint a little bit better than the other Malibu Barbie. If anybody knows the difference between these two, please let me know. You might remember this Barbie from another review of mine. This is the One Modern Circle Collection Melody doll that I have rebodied on a made-to-move body. She uses what Mattel refers to as the twist and turn Barbie head mold, because this head mold was released whenever Barbie first got the twist and turn waist. This is the only other example I have of that head mold. I'm not sure what specific Barbie this was, but I don't think you'll be able to see it, but this head mold is dated 1966. I think that this head mold looks really sweet, and I wish that they would do another Barbie collection like the One Modern Circle collection from the early 2000s, where they bring back these older head molds and give them a more contemporary painting style. Now this is a very beloved Barbie head sculpt. This is the Steffi face sculpt. I have a lot of dolls with this head mold because I really love her pouty lips. You can see that this head mold was used for a lot of Barbie's friends, including this Cool Times Midge and this Teresa. I think she's like a beach Teresa or something. A better example of the Steffi face sculpt might be this Malibu PJ, who has some serious Code Lyoko forehead, or this ballerina Barbie, who I think is really pretty. I really love the Steffi face sculpt, and I wish that they would bring it back for modern playline. I think that the last time we saw it was on the Life in the Dreamhouse Midge doll, but I think that that's really a shame, especially whenever it comes to collector Barbies, because they keep releasing collector dolls with the Millie head sculpt. If Mattel really wanted to make some money, they could release a line of collector dolls that use these vintage head sculpts like they did with One Modern Circle, and they would sell out in seconds. And then the 1970s brought us the Superstar face sculpt. A lot of people consider this the definitive Barbie head sculpt for a lot of reasons. And whenever I say Barbie, I'm talking about Barbie the character, because Barbie is both a character and a doll line. A lot of people consider the Superstar face sculpt the definitive Barbie head sculpt because it was the head sculpt that was used the longest for the character. That being said, the Superstar face sculpt was around for a long time, and it evolved a lot over the decades, not only whenever it comes to paint style, which is very evident comparing these two, but also whenever it comes to structure. The original Superstar head sculpt could only move left to right, but whenever they realized that they were going to be using it for a while, they adapted it to work better with the more contemporary bodies so that it can look up and down and all the way around. And in the early 2000s, they switched out the Superstar face sculpt for the CEO/Generation Girl face sculpt. This is the only doll that I have with that face, so we're gonna have to deal with her. But comparing the face sculpts themselves, the thing that I like about Superstar is that she just looks a lot more friendly to me. You can also see that she sort of has some dimples on the sides of her cheeks that I think is a really cute detail that they smoothed out in the Generation Girl sculpt. Some people may think that it's the dimples that make her look old because they may be interpreted as wrinkles. But I think it's really all in the face paint. Especially after going to college and working with 3D models, I learned a lot about how important textures are and how they can really transform a model. And that's what Barbie is, isn't it? A model. I think it's really evident with the Toy Story 4 Barbie, who was the first Barbie that they had used in like over a decade in playline with the Superstar face sculpt. The Superstar can look really young with a more contemporary paint style. Yeah, the blue eyeshadow always gives away a doll's age. Whenever I worked at Domino's Pizza, there was this homeless lady that always walked outside of the store, and she had this blue eyeshadow just caked on her face, and I remember thinking that she looked like a vintage Superstar Barbie. We always used to call her the crazy cat lady. I hope she's doing okay. But I think that if they would have just given her some darker brows, you wouldn't even really be able to tell that this was a vintage Barbie head mold. I know they used the Mackie face sculpt a lot in the early 2000s as well, but I don't really have a whole lot of dolls that have the Mackie face sculpt, so I couldn't find one for the video. I remember being a kid and being just really intimidated by Mackie, especially going from the Superstar face to the Mackie face sculpt. Mackie just looked really stuck up to me as a kid. She just looked really prudy with her closed out smile and how small her lips were. I just remember thinking that she thought she was better than me, so I never had any dolls with the Mackie face sculpt growing up. So that brings us to today with the Millie head sculpt. I believe the Millie head sculpt was introduced in 2015. Yep, 2015. There are actually two versions of the Millie head sculpt. One has an open mouth and one has a closed mouth. And I don't buy a whole lot of Millies, so I don't have one with the open mouth. But this is one of the Barbie extra dolls that I opened recently, so she's the only one that I really have. People really give Millie a hard time, but I feel like especially doll repainters have proven that it's not really the sculpt's fault. It's more how they're painting it. They just don't ever give her a lot of makeup. But she's really just supposed to resemble the makeup trends of today, and the trend right now is being natural. But I see why some older collectors might not like her, especially whenever they're used to this amount of makeup. You can see the Millie face sculpt is a lot rounder than the Superstar face sculpt was, and she lacks the dimples on the side of her face that Superstar had. I think that's what I miss mostly about the Superstar face. And I mentioned Tangled Syndrome in another one of my videos, so yeah, I feel like Millie definitely has a fatter head than Superstar. The Millie face sculpt also isn't as defined as the Superstar face sculpt is. The way that they painted the eye colors on over time has changed a lot, and that's part of the reason why the face sculpts have got smoother and smoother. So Millie doesn't have as defined of an eye ridge as Superstar does, and her nostrils aren't as defined, and she doesn't have the dimples. But you can see that they still have access to the Superstar head sculpt, so if they really wanted to, they could bring it back as the official Barbie character head sculpt. I don't think kids would have a problem with it, and I think that collectors would be thrilled about it, and it would definitely make news headlines. Barbie brings back her most famous head sculpt or something like that. But the thing is, the vintage Superstar Barbie still exists, so if you really want to exclusively collect vintage dolls, you're more than welcome to. Nobody's stopping you. And speaking of Superstar, we should probably get into today's review of the Got Milk Barbie. So here is the Got Milk Barbie displayed in her packaging. You can see I got her at Goodwill for only $9.99. All Barbies around this era used to say special edition on them because Mattel thought that that would prompt people to buy them more. You can see that she was originally bought at Toys R Us for $13.99. And on the back you can see that there are a couple recipes for some original Nestle Toll House chocolate chip cookies and some oatmeal scotchies, in case you want to make some Barbie cookies. And you can see that this box is in really good condition. A couple of her accessories have sort of fallen in the box because the elastic has deteriorated over time, but it's not really warped all that much. What is that? What the hell? Is that Jeffrey? Oh my god, this is the original Toys R Us receipt. Holy shit, this is really cool. I can't believe you can still read the writing on here. Looks like the cashier that checked this person out was named Janet. Thank you, Janet. Wow, that's really cool. Well, let's finally release this Barbie out of her cardboard prison after 30 years. Oh no, we meet again. A couple of you older collectors might remember these metal twist ties that they had on Barbies back in the day. These definitely extend the unboxing experience. So this Barbie came with a couple fun cardboard accessories like a bouquet of flowers, a cat drinking some milk, and a framed picture of a moo cow, like everybody has in their house. She also came with a lime green vintage seashell hairbrush. I really miss these hairbrushes. And also this really cute milk carton. This is one of the items that was just floating around free in the box because the elastic that was holding it up disintegrated, but I am glad that it didn't get lost to time. And also this really cute cup with some flowers and some cow print on it, and also this tray that has some cookies and some flowers on it as well. Now this is one of the main reasons why I got this doll, is because I really wanted this Barbie straw. I'm definitely gonna have to wash it before I can use it. I just think that this is a really fun accessory for a doll to come with. How nice is it that a doll comes with a practical household item? And here is the Got Milk Barbie straight out of her packaging. You can see that she uses the 90s Superstar face sculpt. She's got those huge blue eyes with that blue eyeliner. I don't collect a whole lot of dolls with these blue eyes. Like I said earlier, I'm a much different collector as an adult than I was as a child. So definitely having like 15 dolls with the same face as a kid, I want my collection to be a little bit more diverse now. Her hair is a really soft saran. It was done up in these two ponytails, but the rubber bands have disintegrated, so I will have to wash that out. And she's got these adorable cow print overalls. I really hope that these fit well on a modern Barbie, because yeah, I'm taking her clothes for somebody else. But and under it she has this really cute and usable hot pink t-shirt. Separately in her box were these hot pink boots and also these white cuffs. They're not really socks, they're just kind of cuffs to look like socks, but these will be really helpful with tight shoes that can't fit socks under them, so I will definitely get some use out of those. As far as her jewelry goes, she has a white pearl ring and some white pearl earrings. Articulation wise, she has the twist and turn body with rotation at the waist, at the shoulder, at the head, at the hip, and a bend and snap knee. Some of you younger people might recognize this knee joint from an LOL OMG doll. Overall though, this doll is a lot higher quality than most Playline dolls that we receive nowadays. Due to inflation, I'm sure that she wouldn't be... How much was she? I actually have the receipt. $15.14 is what they paid for her with tax in the 90s, so in 2021 she would cost... I really wish that they would bring back the Superstar face sculpt, even if it isn't for a Barbie character doll. They could use it on a fashionista or something. We're going to be getting a reproduction of the Superstar Christie this year, which is really exciting, and I will be reviewing her on the channel. She was one of the only black dolls that was released with the Superstar face sculpt. Well, I hope that you all like my review of the 1995 Got Milk Barbie. I definitely remember the Got Milk commercials playing on television all the time whenever I was a kid, so it's nice to have this doll in my collection that's sort of a reminder of them. If you haven't already, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy my content, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.